Happy Friday, you all. We made it to the end of the week. Super excited to end out this 5-day challenge. Hopefully, this Friday is treating you well. I am so excited to just continue to just share information. I'm just going on here to make sure it's on all the different platforms to share information so we can get ready for 2025 because before you all know it is going to be the new year. Along with it being the new year, that means it's new opportunities for us to be able to scale and grow our businesses. It also means that we have opportunities to be able to do new practices and new challenges in order to increase revenue, to be able to increase our clientele and our impact. And so today is day 5 of the 5-day challenge. You've been rocking with me for 5 days. Hopefully, the tools and information I've shared the previous 4 days you have found helpful. Whether you watch this in real time or later or even next week, I want to be able to give you some resources that can help you with your business. So today we are going to be talking about not only how can we incorporate those previous tools, but how can we build a workflow with productivity tools, right? How can you build out your workflow when you're working with other individuals or teams in order to make sure that you have the maximizing of your time. All right. So as you come in, say hello. I figured on a Friday, let me go live during lunchtime. Later, we are having our entrepreneur book club. I invite you to join us if you are free this evening from 6 to 8. We have an amazing workshop that will be done by Rachel Turner. That's all about getting us ready for marketing going into the new year. But today is all about good afternoon, Shine. We are going to be talking about workflow with productivity tools, right? So I'm going to go ahead and jump into this presentation. Again, feel free, as I always say, to leave comments because as I'm going through it, there may be things that you're like, hey, I need to get more information about that. Can you dive a little deeper? And I have no problem doing that. All right. So this is a presentation coming from Jurema Gorham of Jurema Gorham LLC. I am also the founder and executive director of Burst Into Books. However, I do have a for-profit called Jurema Gorham LLC, where I help business owners, both for-profit and nonprofit, be able to scale, able to streamline processes, get their 501c3s, help with programmatic building out, and then also like board development. So do a lot of things. I'm really just creating what I wish I had when I was starting my business. So give you a little background about me. As I do at the top of each workshop, I've been in education since 2008. So you'll see a lot of my way of teaching is really much so geared towards my years of being in the classroom. I started Jurema Gorham LLC in 2020. Again, just creating a space for business owners to get the resources and connections that they need. I'm currently a PhD candidate for curriculum instruction. So I also help individuals build out programs, build out curriculum, help you just like reevaluate your current setup as well. And I have worked in the nonprofit sector since I was 18 years old, not only as an employee, but also having my own nonprofit. I established Burst Into Books in 2018. And since then, I have been able to make this my full-time job. But when I first started Burst Into Books, I was a full-time teacher, student, and single mom. So I do understand the importance of time management, using streamlined tools to make your work easier, because at the end of the day, when you have so much to do in a little amount of time, these tools can be very, very beneficial. So since 2018, with Burst Into Books, we have grown our budget to a six-figure budget. We have been on multiple media outlets, crazy amount of partnerships, right? And I am involved, and I have curated and created events that have 15 plus 100 attendees. I have also done over 15 plus community events, both in-person and virtual events. And I'm really big when it comes to building strong teams and building systems and high-performing teams. In my years of education, I've been a dean, I've been a teacher leader, I've been a part of many different professional organizations and fellowships that have helped me in developing these skills. And I've also coached startups to organizations. I've coached startups who are trying to restructure or just try to figure out ways to be sustainable and thrive in their business. So let's jump into today's workshop. So today's workshop is all about working smarter together. Okay. So many times when we're doing this work, we're not just working as an individual, we work with other teams, we're working with other staff members, we're working with other organizations. And there are some project management tools that you should be utilizing in order to make that work more streamlined. So, why use productivity tools? First and foremost, the key benefit is that it centralizes the task in the project management. Whenever you have multiple people talking at the table, you need to have a place where everything is centralized. You don't want to have something in email, something in Google folder, something is in text, someone has this printed out on paper. It allows you to not only centralize the task, but also be able to manage all the moving pieces. It allows you to enhance team collaboration and communication because people are more aware about where are we in the process, and it makes communication easier because especially when I talk about some of the tools, you have the opportunity to do direct messages, you can email, you can do go live within the project manager platform. You can create teams within teams, and so that if people are working on pieces of a bigger puzzle, they can have their own conversations still while being aware of what's happening with the rest of the group. It improves your efficiency and assures accountability because at the end of the day, you can put in there when things are due by. You can see who have seen updates, right? So if you're like, hey, I posted into our Slack channel, mark that you've read it. You can hold people accountable because you know it was in one space. Everyone was told when it needs to be looked at, and you can be able to hold people accountable, and it improves efficiency, right? You don't have to worry about how do I get the word out? How do I send out this document? How do I, update people on some changes? Everything is in one space. Some common scenarios are when you're managing deadlines. So especially if you're working backwards for a project, this allows you to be able to set those deadlines and be able to know where you are in the process. Coordinating team efforts. So if you have multiple people that are joining the group, it just makes it easier to get everybody involved on one page, and you're tracking progress in real time. So some overall popular productivity tools, all right? So we're starting to think about what are some best tools. Some use what's called Asana. Asana is ideal for tasks and project management. Now, I've had the opportunity to not only utilize these tools for my own business, or if I was working with a team, they utilize, so I can give you my personal opinion of these different ones. I think all of them are great. It just really depends on your preference and the way you like things to be visually even set up. Asana is also ideal for, it has these features for timelines, task dependencies, and then team assignments. So you can assign different parts of a project to a person. They already are part of your team. You can have certain information only go to certain people depending on the role that they're playing. Trello is another project management productivity tool that I have not used for Birds and Books, but I have been a part of an org that utilize it. Trello is good for visual project tracking using boards, lists, and cards. So it's a visual type of platform where it actually has different columns for the different tasks. And then you can have checklists and set timers and deadlines within each card as to when things are due. It's best for smaller teams or simple workflows. And I agree with that because when I was utilizing it, I was working with an org that had a lot of moving pieces. And after a while, Trello can look very cluttered and hard to distinguish what is what and who owns what. And so Trello, I agree, is best for smaller teams and for simple workflow. Slack is the project management tool of choice for me. I like that you get real-time messaging and you can share files. You can share Google Drives through Slack. It integrates with other tools for seamless collaboration. So like I just said, it integrates with my Google Workspace. So it's easy for me to be able to share a document through Slack. Another feature that I didn't put here that I want to mention is that you can create different channels. And so I can have different channels depending on the project that I'm working on, and I can just add who I want to that channel. They also have integrated where you can do like video messaging as well. So Slack, as you can tell, is my favorite. Now, when we are thinking about a building workflow, it's super important that we first are trying to consider what is the steps in order to do that. And so this is so let me talk about why I chose this to be the last workshop for this 5-day challenge, because this is the thing I feel like most people I find are juggling a bunch of different moving pieces. And it's like, how do you keep it all centralized? And so when we're organizing our calendar, we got email templates, just talking about the things we talked about, AI utilization, right? How we're able to use that. And then also scheduling. It's important that we have a place where everything lives. And so these project management platforms, I feel like, are very helpful, especially once you get to a point where now I have my client, now I have my event, now I have whatever program. Now let's create workflow for each of those things. So first, you want to define the project, clarify what the goals and the outcomes are that you're trying to get out of this project. Then you're going to break down the task. So you want to make it into actionable steps and require deadlines that go along with those steps, right? So we want to list what are the actionable steps required in order to get the project done. That helps you to then think about who owns the pieces. So we first got to be clear about what needs to happen, and then we need to think about who is in charge of that particular part and by when does it need to be done by. And then you can track progress by using visual boards or timelines to monitor the progress along the way. Again, we all own our piece. We are able to see it all in real time. And I'm able to see if things are moving forward. If something is not hitting a deadline, let's check in. Let's see what's happening so we don't have any surprises as we get close to the end of the project. And so an example of a workflow, you can plan an event using Trello or Asana, right? You can task categories. So you can have categories such as planning, the logistics part of it, the marketing, and then the execution, the actual day of the event, who's doing what. All right. So it's super important that you're thinking about from ideation all the way to execution, because there are different times where maybe people's roles change along the way. And then you can assign tasks to team members with a deadline. So once we are clear about the categories, we know that for each category, things need to be done by a certain time. Keeping your tasks organized across platforms. So again, when we're trying to think about how can we keep everything in order, it's important that we are thinking about how do we stay organized on these platforms. So one way is, we've talked about a lot of different tools, but integration of tools is super important. Even when I talked about Calendly, you can integrate it to your Zoom, right? Thinking about all these different platforms, how are you able to make sure that they're speaking to one another? And it makes utilizing them so much easier. So use integration, link tools like Slack with Trello for real-time updates. So you could actually connect some of these productivity tools together. But again, you can also link your other things that you're using to keep organized in here as well. And then you want to centralize communication. Keep all project-related discussions within the tool. This, I don't know how I can stress this, right? So it's easy, right? It's cool. I might have the person's phone number, or I know their personal email, and I'm like, oh, let me just share this really quick to them, or let me text it to them really quick. It is so important in order to stay organized that we are utilizing the tool for everything. So no conversation should be outside the tool. Do not share documents to a personal email. Keep everything inside of the project related tool, because in that way, when you look for it later and you're like, oh, when did I tell them that? Or when is this due? It's all in one space. It helps. Again, we want to centralize where are we going for information, right? I link my calendar to my Google Calendar. I'm not looking at my planner. I'm not looking on that loose piece of paper. I'm looking on my Google Calendar for what my schedule entails. So we want to get in the habit of streamlining where we look to do our work. All right. So next, we're going to regularly update tasks. So mark completed tasks and adjust timelines as needed. So that is why project management tools are so important, because ain't nothing worse than getting close to an event and you didn't know something hasn't been done or called or followed up on or paid. We want to make sure in real time we know what's been completed, and we also can adjust timelines when needed. And again, this is why centralizing everything is so important, because we want to make sure that we do not miss any parts of the steps that it comes to getting these things done. So again, regularly updating tasks. Maybe you had it was set for Friday. After a conversation, you're giving it to next Wednesday. Change the date, right? So people are clear about, hey, we have a little bit more time, and then give rationale as to why. Sync with your calendar. So ensure any deadlines appear on your personal and team calendars. Remember, on Google Calendar, I showed you how you can create calendars that are personalized. So you can have your own personal calendar, but you can have a team calendar for the actual event that you link to these project management tools. So whenever you do set a deadline, it shows up on your Google Calendar. So we're going to end out with an activity. Okay, so the activity is simply, we're going to create a workflow. And I want you to think about what is a project that you are currently trying to deal with or plan out, and how can you build a project in a productivity tool to simulate a real life scenario, right? I have some upcoming events coming up. I have some things that we have coming in the new year, both for Burks of the Books and for Jurema Gorham LLC. So definitely I will be utilizing these tools within the next couple of days. But first step is you want to think about which tool of choice do you want to pick. I personally am going to do Slack, but again, Asana, Trello are all perfectly great tools as well. And if you utilize any of these tools, let me know in the chat which one do you try and which one do you prefer and why. Now, once you have selected the tool of choice, you want to create a project with a name. So the name could be like a marketing campaign. I put that down because we're actually going to be talking about marketing tonight at our Entrepreneur Book Club. And so that will probably be something that we do address, a marketing campaign for our businesses. So the project is marketing campaign. And then I want to think about what are going to be the tasks connected to that campaign. Who are the individuals that's helping me with it? And then what are some deadlines? And then you want to organize the tasks into categories. So to do, in progress, and done. It allows you to know, like, where are we on certain parts of this campaign? So maybe certain parts are currently in progress. Others have not been touched yet, so they're still to do. And then for some parts of it, it may be already completed and done. And so you want to reflect on, how does using this productivity tool improve your project visibility and accountability? And so visibility, not so much like to the public, but visibility to your team and then to your job and to whoever you're working with. It is sometimes difficult for when you are working maybe with 2 or 3 or even one other person to be clear about where are we on the process, right? Most of the events that I tend to do are in partnership. And so there is like a trust that, hey, they're doing this part and I'm doing this part, and we're going to show up and it's going to be amazing, right? But then there's been times in which we show up and it's like, oh, I thought you got it. And then that's when I'm like, oh, we did not properly utilize this project management tool or didn't use it at all. And so that's why I started using them, right? Because that way we have no surprises. So how can using this tool make what we need to do more visible, so we're clear about what is happening, but then also a level of accountability? Because if we show up and something's not there, we can go back and see who was responsible for that aspect of the work. So, tips for effective team collaboration. Many times when we are working on teams, where we mess up is that we do not have clarity of roles. Everybody is helping with the event, great. But who is doing what responsibility for that particular position? It's not a catch-all. You see it, do it, right? Maybe we all have our certain roles and we step in where needed, but there needs to be clarity of everyone who knows what their responsibility is. So you need to be also able to communicate regularly. So use comment sections or integrate chat features. So if someone is in charge of registration, we need to be clear about how are the numbers looking on the day of registration, who's doing check-in, are there any parts that we still don't have? Did we get the wristbands? We need to know that information. Does anything need to be printed out? And so that's when comment sections of documents can be utilized and people can give you a quick response, or integrated chat features are really great to be able to do, like in-house text messaging. You want to monitor progress, regularly review the workflow and adjust as needed. And so again, we set timelines, we walk away and we come back on the due date like, oh, is it done? We should have had some check-ins along the way. So you want to make sure you're monitoring the progress of your team. In that way, if things need to adjust, you can do it in real time. And then let's celebrate wins, because that is something that I don't think we think about enough when we're working on teams. Everybody like, did you do your job? Did you do your job? But did you celebrate them killing it, right? Did you celebrate them getting done before the deadline? When milestones are accomplished or projects are completed, make sure you celebrate. Okay, people love to feel valued. People need to be valued. They deserve to be valued. They also need to be heard that they need to be told that they did a great job, right? A great job. Sometimes that's all we need in order to keep people's morale up and for them to feel valued. And so key takeaways from this workshop is why do we want to use productivity tools? They help to simplify project management and team collaboration. It helps you to stay organized and track your progress in real time. And practical application is using tools like Asana or Trello or Slack to streamline your tasks, your deadlines, and your teamwork. So it's really important that when you're thinking about what it is my team needs, that you browse, right? I think there's nothing wrong with exploring multiple platforms because each of them have their own little features that the other one doesn't. And so Asana may work best for you. Slack may work best for you. Trello might work best for you. But again, the key point is you need to get a productivity tool to help make your productivity a lot streamlined. All right. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. We have been together for 5 days. At the bottom, as you can see, it says to join the Impact Builders Network. That is a Facebook group that I started early last month just to really put business owners, nonprofit leaders in the same space. So we're able to encourage one another. We're able to build each other up. We're able to share information. We're able to support each other's work. And we're able to be able to build and create impact together. So if you have not joined the Impact Builders Network, go ahead and join our group. We will add you in. You are welcome to the village. As we continue throughout this year and into the next year, I have a lot of cool stuff we'll be doing inside that group. I'll announce any upcoming workshops, any funding opportunities, any best practices and tools and books that I've read that I think would be beneficial. Again, it's going to be all put in that group. So if you have not joined the Impact Builders Network, go ahead and do that now. But we are at the end of our 5-day challenge. I have absolutely loved teaching you some tools that have helped make my life easier and those that I know easier as well. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. Let me know if you have utilized the tool. How has it helped streamline your work? And let's go into 2025 ready to kill it, right? Let's not make time management, being disorganized, not knowing how to really communicate with teams be the reason why we don't hit our goals, right? We have factors and variables that we can't control. But the things that we can control, let's do something about it, all right? So happy Friday, you all. I've truly enjoyed talking to you all. And until next time.